Welcome to the Aging and Spirituality Podcast. I'm Cathy Lee Taylor.
And I'm Chris Jensen.
We are so happy you're here because we're always here talking about your unrealized potential. And Chris and I were actually talking offline about how we want to grow that idea of what it is that are the things that we focus on when are in our midlife. There are so many things, directions that we could be going, and it's really important to find out who we are in the core of our being and really pay attention and focus on our purpose. What is the reason that we're here, and how can we get clear about that, and how can we live our life really serving from that place? So today I called my talk living in a state of wonder that connects you to your essence, because I really want to talk about the idea of being open and being receptive. And what does that look like on a daily basis? How can we ground ourselves in our energy so that when something comes flying our way that isn't particularly pleasant or not nice or unexpected or whatever it is, we can keep ourselves centered in spirit and respond from there. So that's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about wonder, but you'll see how it connects to being able to actually transcend the ego and then leave the ego behind. The ego is very subjective. We want to get that out of the way. And when we use wonder to do that, it's going to elevate our consciousness. And that is living in a very sublime place. And that's what we're going to really talk about today. So I'm going to start by telling you a personal story, something that I recently went through myself. And I'm hoping that it will enlighten you into the process that I'm talking about, how I use wonder to help me get through it. So, okay. And there's going to be lots of tips and exercises, so stay to the end so you can get those, because there'll be things that you can pull out of your pocket at any time of day when you're having to deal with things in your life and use them. They'll be very beneficial. So here's my story. The other day, I was talking to somebody who I know is a real lover of God. And she asked me what I was doing about finding a new home, because the house that I'm living in right now is being sold. And so I've recently found out that I'm going to be moving in about 30 days. And so that's been causing some angst. And this lady was actually helping me, find some possible roommates. We were talking about that. But I felt myself get really emotional when she asked me the question. And so what I did was, instead of just feeling fear, and letting that abide, just letting it continue. I stopped and I consciously looked at it and asked myself what was going on in that moment. So as I kind of gathered myself to talk about it, I became really aware of a feeling that was washing over me that was like, I feel like I'm being called to show some faith that God has my back and that I won't be left without a home or my needs taken care of. And that was the answer to my stopping and asking, right? My reaction was, I don't really want to hear that. So
That's how we all react at first, right?
and that's why I want to make that point. The ego will try to sneak in there every stinking way it gets a chance.
Yes,
And so I stayed with the feeling in my heart. I felt really tearful. I let my heart energy expand so I could receive that information. So you can see how different that is as a response to what life is throwing at you, and what a difference it can make in how walk out of a situation, how you spend the rest of your day based on how you were feeling in that moment. I felt really uplifted talking to her after she asked me that question. I felt like, okay, I can do this. I can express faith. I've got this, it's going to be okay. So So, asking for support is not easy for me. So it's really good for me to connect with people like her. And of course, Chris, and we can talk about these kinds of things. Chris was so lovely calling me the other day because she could feel my vibes. You know how friends are, can feel your vibes from miles away. Like, what the hell is going on with you? And I had, found out that I basically wasn't going to be without a home very shortly. So it can be very emotional process. So, okay. So we're going to talk about life and its transitions. My life has certainly been full of a lot of transitions. I have moved more times than I want to admit. Like Chris is somebody who's lived in the same house for a lot of years. So she doesn't know how it feels to have to be packed up and moved, in a day. I literally can move within like 2 hours if I have to. So
Well, let me tell you something though. I moved around as a child.
Mhm.
Um, by the time I was about 10 or so, I had moved many, many times.
So you know how that feels.
Yeah, so I have that, and I, lived in a bus and traveled for 3 years, so
There's that.
yeah, so that's a lot in there too, so
Yeah, and it just means that this is my challenge, this feeling of being uprooted and having to move a lot. It's definitely challenging for me. The older I get, the less I want to do it. I'd rather be settled in a place that I can count on, but life just calls me to be in different places a lot. And I'm not sure why, but just the way it is. So I have to find a way to, always choose a happy, loving response to whatever it is that life is throwing at me. And sometimes you're just so damn busy that it's hard. It's hard to connect with the inner self when your mind is racing, you're working really hard, you're always planning for the future. It's harder to connect with that inner self. So being mindful is one of the first things you can do to learn to slow down a bit. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Um, let's see. In order to experience wonder, well, I'll talk about it right now. In order to experience wonder, one of the easiest things you can do to get into it is to slow down.
mm,
You can't, spirit can't get to you if your mind is racing. Spirit can't get to you if your heart is full of junk. If it's all tied up or it's stuck or it's busy doing other things. There has to be a certain level of openness and receptivity and a deep listening to what's going on inside of yourself for spirit to get to you. And that's where being in a state of wonder consciously comes into play and really helps you. If you put yourself in that state of wonder, just do it for a moment. What does it feel like to feel wonder? All of a sudden, you're not thinking so much. Your
mm.
heart is not churning so much. Your body is more calm. You are more still. You are more open to receiving. So that's what we're talking about. You want to check in and make sure that you are being open and receptive during the day to be able to receive what spirit has to say. And wonder is a very important um, way to do that. So what does wonder feel like? Okay, so we just tried it, but let me give you some words in case they help you kind of put it into place, into space of how it works in your own life. So wonder is a feeling of reverence. It's a profound kind of respect or an adoration. If you can relate to those words better, you're getting closer to oneness. How do those words feel inside of you? So if I look at those words, respect is nice, reverence is much more sacred, adoration, I love. That feeling is much more devoted, much more sacred for me. If I adore someone, that feels really good to me. Just I'm
Special.
very open at that point, right? You feel open and receptive when you're adoring. So that means you're on the right track. So that's the feeling that you want to look for. And when you're feeling wonder, if you're a person that loves miracles, you know what wonder feels like, because that's what miracles are, right?
Mm.
And that's probably why you love them, because they make you feel really expanded, really open. So if miracles is something that you relate to, you can think about wonder in that way. So the thing about wonder is when, there's an actual state about it. Our guru used to talk about this all the time. Um, when you actually enter into a state of wonder, you're immobilized. You're not moving. You feel you're completely still and calm. And it's at that point that you can have a transcendental kind of experience and move into spirit. So, and that can happen on many, many levels. So that's even another reason to get into that state of wonder. You can have spiritual realization when that state is really, really deep. It shuts down the ego. The ego can't explain wonder. It can't try to baffle you with its bullshit. It has to step aside. It has to, like shut itself down. So, if you want to let go of the subjective ego mind and connect with the higher self, get into a state of wonder. Even momentarily, it will open you up to spirit. And practice it, because you have to, get used to letting go, feeling like what it feels like to move from the ego into a state of wonder. And then as that grows, as that state of wonder grows in your being and in your presence, it will move into more of a spiritual realization state.
Well, if you think about little children, say something like, I was thinking about my little grandson who's 20 months old now, and he sees something new and he goes, oh,
Oh,
there's like this incredible sense of wonder. And, it's so pure.
God, I felt it when she did that, didn't you? Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's the simplest thing. And that's, when we have that quality, like all of spirituality tells us to be childlike, not, childish, but childlike, have that sense of, oh, yeah.
That's so true. That's like when you're watching those stupid videos on Facebook and the social media, that's how you're feeling. You,
Yeah.
have an experience of wonder. You're open, you blank out what's going on in your life for, 30 seconds and watch a dog do a silly thing, or watch a baby and a dog playing with each other. And they're both full of awe and wonder, and it really feels good. And, you watch enough of them and you're like, why am I like an hour's gone by? I'm watching videos on TikTok or whatever it is. It's because it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
So there you go. The state of wonder. Okay, so I also think, and I just made a note of that here, is that a lot of people, when they're on their spiritual journey, get trapped at the stage of releasing trauma, and it can be really lengthy, really ongoing. And I know that de-trauma exists. I'm not poo-pooing or saying that you shouldn't do it, but I am saying that if you can get into a state of wonder, even if you're having this experience of releasing trauma, it will start to balance out the trauma. It will start to, allow you to be able to let go of those traumatic memories, those things that happened that are in your past but don't exist anymore, but on an energetic level, they're poking you every once in a while. Get into wonder and let the state of wonder balance those out. I bet $50 right here, right now, if you use the state of wonder, it will smooth those transitions. It will show you how to let go. Just being able to maintain that state of wonder, being able to let go of those kinds of traumas. Try it, you have nothing to lose. When you can get into a super conscious state, which is where wonder will take you, eventually. That's a place where, you're going to have insights. You're going to have a state of harmony that grows in your life. And those things that were traumatic, that don't exist anymore, will fall away. They will just be gone. I mean, sometimes they just come back as memories, but there's no sting. I used to hear, our teachers say that a lot. When something that you experience as pain is healed is when it comes up and you don't feel the sting in your heart anymore. Gone. It's gone. Wonder can help you do that. So here we go. So I talked about how to get into a state of wonder, and I said slow down. And I'm going to remind you, because it's so easy to get caught up in the world, especially with all the stuff that's going on in our world right now. It's so easy to get into fear, and we can't let that happen. We can't let people that are uh, power hungry or whatever it is that their ego is trying to do right now, don't rent any space in your brain.
That's a good way to say it, don't give them the space. Yes, yes.
Don't let them have any space in your brain. Let that stuff go, and instead cultivate this state of wonder and this choice of responding to life from a place of love. And when you're in that state, everything slows down. Nothing is meant to be in a hurry. You take everything at a much, much slower pace. Go for a walk. Let go of the old energy. If you're feeling tense or anxious, just get out in nature, you know, be with the animals,
Mhm.
and just let your soul unfold as it's meant to be. You don't control that process. You don't have to. I mean, thank God.
That's the nice thing, right?
The nice thing about connecting with the soul. It will do it for you. It will show you what the next steps are every time. You just got to give it a space to be able to express. Okay, so slowing down. How do we do it?
Mhm.
I'm still talking about slowing down because until you really decide to do it and experience it on an ongoing basis, it's very hard to put this in the, or very easy to put it in the background and just say, I'll get to that later after I'm busy being like
Yeah, I'll slow down after I'm really busy for the next 5 years.
10 years or lifetime or whatever it is.
Oh.
So slowing down. Here's some of the ways you can do it. Breath work. Our friend here, get online on what is it, Wednesday nights, and do pranayama classes. Oh my God, they're so valuable. And they will help you slow your body down when you're anxious, your mind is packed. Pranayama is breathing. Breathing is everything. You can do whatever you want when you know how your breath works, how it feeds your body, and how you can use it to take care of yourself. I mean, you owe it to yourself to really understand that. So pranayama, really, 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 really healthy for your body. Chanting Om, you get in a really tense situation. I was in one not too long ago, a few days ago. Somebody had really angry energy, and I hadn't been exposed to that in a long time. And it just rolled over me like a tornado, it just feels like, oh, it's just like ripping up your energy because I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't prepared, I didn't know it was coming, so I did a lot of chanting a mantra after that, trying to just, use my hand to get the energy away from my body and soothe my heart, which was really in turmoil, and then just chanting my mantra, calming down, slowing down, telling myself I was safe. It's all good. Because it happens, people come into your life and they're angry, and boy, they blat it out, all over you.
Oh, yeah. That's what road rage is all about, right?
Yeah, yes, road rage is horrible. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, those are the kinds of tricks that you want to put in your back pocket and have with you, so that when you get that place of upset, you're not thinking, what is it am I supposed to do? You know exactly what you can do, and it works for you because you practiced it. So make sure that you think about those things and try them so you can have them ready when you really, really need them. So, right, I had a note here to talk about the experience I'd been through recently. Someone I knew had been really angry and was uh, expressing in my direction for whatever reason, and it was so powerful that I literally did not sleep the whole night. And that's never happened to me. I was like, what is going on, So it took a lot of recentering, calming down, being slow, telling myself it's okay, I'm safe, So those are really, really crucial moments, and there's other things you can do. You know, think about the beauty in the world, that'll get you centered again, go touch a flower, hold your pet, tend to your garden, do
Mhm.
something that really connects you to beauty. For a lot of people, that's a very, very powerful way to get centered in spirit. I once heard a wise person say, make your life a moving prayer.
Mhm.
So that's so beautiful. Think about that. Think about that. That whole idea is about what wonder means to me. You know, um, move through your day as you're walking, working, playing, creating. Just having this feeling of being connected to one. As you put one foot down in front of the other, you're walking, you're thinking spirit, spirit, God, God, connected, connected, you know? You're just staying really grounded, grounding your energy
Mm.
with the connection that you have to your inner self. And you're going to make that a habit because that's one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself. Okay, so we talked about breathing. We talked about what happens when the world's confusing and bad energy is coming your way. So I think we, really talked about what the things of wonder can do for you in your life. When you're living in wonder, you're really cultivating that harmony. Yoga is all about the harmony of body, mind, and spirit. Wonder will take you there and will help you take you a long way into transcending the ego space. The ego is that stick in the water, as our teacher would say, that divides everything into right and wrong and A and B in the duality of this world. Wonder will take the stick up. Screw the stick. We don't need it.
I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. We tap into the wonder and we're going to have powerful and transforming spiritual experiences. Really, very inspiring, very creating inspiration for all of us. So there you go. I hope you love it. I hope you practice wonder. I hope you have it every day in your life.
I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it too. Bye, everyone. See you next week.